Who's back again. Get shady.
Nah, scratch that. This ain't shady. This is Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force. He's back like he never left with another season of the Cha-Cha Music Review podcast. Yeah, baby. So, Cha-Cha Nation, tell somebody to tell anybody to tell everybody that the Cha-Cha Music Review podcast is back, and we'll be amplifying the African sounds by bringing the best of African music to your ears.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and my amazing members of the Cha-Cha Nation. My name is Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force, and I'm back like I never left with another episode of the Cha-Cha Let's Talk Music series on the Cha-Cha Music Review podcast. You know, I get to do it here now. I get to bring interesting guests, and we have different conversation about anything and everything that is music related. And without wasting much of your time, let me allow my guest for today to introduce himself.
Hi guys, my name is David Niran. I'm an artist manager and A&R. Thank you for having me, Hafeestonova. I'm proud to be here, and let's have fun today.
Thank you very much for being on the podcast today, David. And like you rightly said, let us have fun. And we are going to be having, a fun, conversation. Okay, let me start with this. Some couple of, days ago, you tweeted about, taking the other genre of music in Nigeria. You're trying to, make them more popular. Let me use that word for lack of a better word. That you're trying to make them popular. And obviously, unless you're living under a rock, we already know that Afrobeat is like the main trending genre of music out of Nigeria right about now. Everywhere you go is all about Afrobeat. But seeing your tweet made me realize that, truthfully, there are more, genre of music in Nigeria than just Afrobeat. And so I said, let me ask you about it. Tell me, what is that all about?
I put out a series of tweets about redefining the Nigerian music industry in order to allow these other genres, I call them unpopular genres, for trying to make the industry more inclusive, to even be the best artist that's coming from the country, where anybody can decide to choose any genre and be the best artist in the country.
Given the popularity of Afrobeat, would you subscribe to the notion or to the school of thought that says Afrobeat is killing other genre of music in Nigeria?
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't. Afrobeat has been great. It has done a lot for the country. Even it has helped shine the limelight of the world music industry on Nigeria. And now it's been able to create an open space for us to now show the world that we have a lot more than just Afrobeats. We can do other genres. We have artists, producers, and other talents that can do a lot of other genres. So Afrobeats has done that for us to shine the limelight of the music industry, which is really great. So I don't think it has done more harm than good for us. However, the way the industry is shaped and the way the industry is structured does not give enough opportunities for these other genres to thrive in the Nigerian music industry.
So we are talking about, structure, and we are talking about how, the music is being structured in Nigeria. What structures would you say has affected, this other genre of music that is making Afrobeat take the lead? Like you rightly said, Afrobeat has put Nigeria on the map, and there is no way we can deny the impact that Afrobeat has on Nigerian music industry as a whole. But what structure will you say Afrobeat has that this other music, genre of music does not have, and that's why they are laid back?
For one, the Nigerian music industry is a music industry that, compared to other industries in the world, we're quite behind a bit. And when industries just start, the major things that happen in the industry are investments and record labels. We don't have too many independent artists like that can personally fund their own career. We have people who either fund them independently when they invest, and they're independent artists or record labels. And then when we see these record labels, if we take any of the top record labels in the country, I would not mention their names, but if we look at any of these top record labels and look at how many Afrobeat artists are in these labels, you see them, and then you ask yourself, look at any other genre, look at hip-hop, alternative, and these other genres, bar Chocolate City, which one could say is quite an inclusive record label because it's more hip-hop dominated. But when you take a look at every other record label, you ask yourself, apart from Afrobeats, how many artists do they have in other genres? you could see one, just one at the most, or none. And if you see one, look at the area of concentration, how they prioritize the artist. The artist is not one of their most prioritized artists, and that's just what it is. So the structure of the music industry itself does not give space for these artists to thrive. Another aspect where we can see a structural difference, it comes to things like radio. We understand that radio plays a huge role in popularizing music. And then when you listen to your radio and you hear music, 90% of the music you hear is Afrobeats music. And then we're trying to hear other music. And then you might hear other genres, but they might not be Nigerian songs. You get me? So we can see that the Nigerian audience listen to these other genres, but we're not giving them what it is. We're not either doing enough or we're not giving them these genres. These artists are not putting themselves out enough, or the record label structure is not allowing these artists to be able to put themselves in the limelight for the audience. Apart from that, another thing we can look at is social media, the way it's carried. When you look at artists that trend daily and everything, most of them are always Afrobeats artists. We see a situation which is an exception for artists like Thames. And I'm really happy with what happened with her, where I remember there was a time when someone posted a screenshot of a conversation where he told a new record label that was trying to come into the country to sign Thames, and the owner of the record label was saying she doesn't do Afrobeats like that, so he's not really considering her, that would rather consider an Afrobeats artist. But look at her now. In terms of in the international market, she's one of the biggest artists in Nigeria right now. So that's just where it is. We have the listeners who want to listen to it, but certain structures, certain people are not making it easy for these artists in this genre.
You spoke about, the structure, and, while you were giving us some of those few points, you mentioned, record labels and how many artists and they have, and you rightly said you were not going to mention names and all of that. But we being, a music fan, because there's always this argument that we have about, is what the audience wants to listen to that the artist must give us, and there's always this conversation just say, for example, now, you cannot do pop music more than Michael Jackson. You cannot do hip hop more than, let's say, Lil Wayne or Eminem. You cannot do even, should I say, R&B more than the likes of Celine Dion and all of that. So why would you, as a Nigerian artist, want to do this genre of music and you expect us to enjoy it because you cannot do it more than that? Do you feel like we, the audience, we, the music fan, you've spoken about, whatever structure that is on ground from the record label point of view, from the investor point of view. What about we, the music fan? Do we have a role to play in accepting these artists, or we don't have any fault at all?
We as music listeners have a role to play in terms of supporting these artists. However, if you look at it, most of these artists are not putting themselves out there enough. The ones that are getting the little support that they can, and would literally want more of that. Because if you talk about you can't do this more than this person, you can't do this more than this person. Let's take Essence as an example. Essence is an R&B song, and Essence has gone platinum in the United States. That's a song by 2 Nigerian artists. Take that, for example, a Nigerian song out of nowhere goes platinum in the United States, basically the biggest music industry in the world. We were able to do that. So anybody that is having the feeling or the idea or the school of thought that you can't do this more than this person, it's just, I would just say rather just dead that thought, because we can and we will do it. I've met and worked with artists who I can compare with certain mainstream US artists, given the proper structure and given the proper facilities and trainings, they can be where certain US artists are. They exist in the Nigerian music industry. They are here, they are working, and they're trying to get their name out there. So once we're able to give them the opportunities that they need, we're able to put them on everything, we would see. Essence is just the first one. Peru just went gold, which is really great. Peru is a pop song, to be fair, and we could say it's more of an Afro pop song, so it can be under Afrobeats, but we still see more songs that will come, even in these other genres, that will begin to dominate industries in the world.
I like the point you've rightly made, talking about, essence and using essence, as a benchmark for, the song and what Nigerian artists can, do technically. So now we've spoken about all of this, all these external factors that has been affecting other genre of music in Nigeria from growing. And like I rightly said, your tweet was what led to this, conversation. So let us, go into your tweet proper, and let me ask you this. How do you intend to help, promote, the other genre of music in Nigeria?
Like I rightly tweeted, I said we plan on doing it this year, and we are doing it this year. We plan to host an artist development camp later this year, which would include artists where we bring the best artists in the country from different genres, train them. They undergo a 2-week intensive training where we prepare them for what is to come, what we plan to do with them. And even after the training, we keep working with their team on the long term. In terms of their team, I mean they and their management. For those who do not have management, when we meet them, we would assume the role of management if they would have us. That's what we plan on doing. Personally, for me, I've been able to work with certain artists in an A&R role or a consulting role where I just consult for them, give them advice. A&R for them, work with them in the studio, try and develop them one way or the other that I can. But with my company, Redefining Management, we want to take the whole thing formal and do it properly, where we bring these artists together, have a camp, speak to them, bring some of the best music business professionals in the country, some of the best artists in these other genres in the country, and we can train them for those 2 weeks and be able to change the way they see things, change their mentality, change the way they want to achieve stuff. So that's what we are trying to do for the next 2 weeks when we decide to host the development camp. It's going to be the next quarter of this year. That's when we plan to do that.
But let's assume that, I'm a music artist and I got to listen to this podcast after the campaign has been done. But I still need your help. I still want you, I want to do jazz music. I want to do soul music. And I need your help to navigate through. What exactly will you be able to do for me? I mean, the campaign is done. So are you still going to, just probably do it like a special training for me for 2 weeks? Or are you going to, connect me to investors? Or are you going to link me up with a record label? What exactly will you be able to do for me?
Okay, what we've been able to do and what we're currently doing is connect ourselves to some of the top record labels in the country, with some of the very educated investors in the Nigerian music industry, and develop a relationship with them. So once we're able to work with these artists or meet these artists, we're able to give you a training at the camp and then try to get you either a record label or an investment that works for you. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put you in the limelight. That's basically the aim of Redefining Management, is to put you in the limelight. We're trying to get you to a position where you and your team can exploit the opportunities that we've given to you, the opportunities that the Nigerian music industry is not giving you right now. We're trying to create those opportunities and put you out there, put you in the spotlight, and then from there you can continually grow on from them. But after the development camp, what Redefining Management intends to do is just basically artist management and artist development. So in a situation where you reach out to us, if we see that you're an artist that is lucrative, you are a great artist, you look like an artist who is going to be one of the best in the future, and we see that you have what it takes, really, we can decide to work with you. If you want us to assume the post of your management, we'll work with you that wise. If you don't want us to be a manager, just want to work with us training wise, we can agree on a fee for hire thing where we can have an agreement and work with you, develop you, and then put you out there. And even after working with you for the set time, we're still going to be working with you and your team to advise you and to help you, to put you out there until we see that the music industry is now accepting these genres and you are able to stand on your own.
See as Yanni just dey sweet for my ear.
The Cha-Cha Let's Talk Music series with Hafeestonova. Hey God, conversation with the boss brain.
Again, I always like to circle back to your tweet because without the tweet, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And the way you put out a tweet, it made me realize something, that this is not going to be like, it's not as if you just woke up yesterday and you started this journey about, promoting, the other genre of Nigerian music. From the way you spread those tweets, it sounds like you've been doing this for at least, give or take, a year. So my question is going to be this: how long have you been on this journey, and what has been, the biggest challenge you faced so far on this journey?
Okay. I started this journey about 2 or 3 years ago. For me, growing up while in school, secondary school to be fair, because for someone like me, I've been able to realize what I wanted to do in my life quite early. I knew it was always music related, but I didn't know what aspect. So once I realized it was going to be in a management aspect, I at first started working with certain artists that were in Afrobeats and all. And then I realized that my inclination was more towards these other genres because I used to be an artist myself. I'm also a songwriter and a producer. I work with artists in those positions and I'm able to contribute to their careers. So what I see is that these are the genres that work best for me. This is where I can contribute. So for the past 2-3 years, I got into the industry almost 3 years ago. And for the past 2 years, I've been able to scout the artists, the producers I want to work with, the record labels I want to talk to. For the past 2 years, I've been documenting, I've been preparing for what is to come, to be fair. So I've been doing that for the past 2 years. And even though for this development camp, we're going to throw an open bowl out into their own country where people can submit their music. But like I said, I already have almost 100 artists that I've scouted and I've seen that are capable of taking the industry by storm. But still, we're still looking for more people that want to work with and the likes. And as to what has been a difficult situation that I've faced so far, I would say gatekeeping. But like a friend of mine rightly said, if you close the gate, we'll jump the fence. If we cannot jump the fence, we'll create a gate for ourselves. That's just what it is, and that's what we've been doing. So anyway, it's been an issue, but we've been able to create a solution out of it and make our way into the heart of the music industry.
I like what your friend said. If you close the gates, we'll jump the gate, and if there's no gate, to actually create our own. I think I really like that. All right, so you've spoken about everything that I feel like we should talk about: the structure, the finances, how you are going to organize a camp and train upcoming artists. And so yeah, if you're an upcoming artist and you are listening to me right about now, I'm definitely sure when the campaign is open, it is something that I'm going to bring to your notice so you can get to be part of it. But you mentioned music artists, and along your way also, you said when you started your journey, you've been scouting record labels, music producers. So just going back to the camp, does it just involve music artists alone, or can music producers come into the camp also? I'm asking this because in as much as an artist wants to develop a sound and say, oh, you know what, I want to be a jazz artist, or I want to be a soul artist, there's always this there's always this discussion about, oh, how many producers can even do a jazz-oriented song? How many producers can do a soul-oriented song? So, which got me to ask, this, camp that you're trying to do, this movement that you're trying to push, is it just for music artists alone, or anybody that is interested in that music space can be a part of it?
All right, thank you. We also plan to include producers as well, not as many producers as artists. So but we plan to include producers, and A&R have been able to realize that certain producers work best with certain genres. I know at least 5 to 10 producers that can do soul music, alternative music, R&B, that's their major genre. They can also work in other genres, but that's the major genres. Hip hop and the likes. I've met those kind of producers, and we plan to work with them also and give them a platform for them to also be able to start their career and move on from there. So we plan to also work with producers, yes.
That was very good to know. I like the fact that you're also trying to include producers in this, and it's very, very good. So before I allow you go, David, I just want to ask, has there been, or is there any particular, I want to say, pardon me for using this word, but it's just for the, lack of better word. Like, is there any artist or that you are currently working with, like you can say, let me say you are trying to experiment with, that we should be looking forward to, like, oh, so when we see or when we hear about this as like, oh yes, it was David or David's company that actually worked on this artist. Is there anybody like that at the moment?
Actually, there are, but I do not want to say their names because we're still in the works and everything. And when we decide to launch them out and everything, you would actually see them. There are at least 4 artists in different genres that I'm currently working with. Aside the reading management project, I'm working with them in an A&R role. I'm working with them to develop their sound and also to develop their brand at the moment. About 4 artists I'm currently working with. I can assure you that they are some of the greatest artists you come across. Okay, I would mention a couple. I would mention Nova. You can check out his IG. Nova, that's his handle. He's a trap artist. He's doing pretty well. We've been even receiving some accolades from certain artists in the US so far from his freestyles that's been putting out, and we've been working on some stuff so far. You can also check out Rio. He's a drill artist and everything. We're also working on something as well. I've also been able to work with Sydney. Sydney is quite popular among the Twitter users and youth generation because he hosts Twitter spaces a lot. Sydney, I've also been able to work with him on 1 or 2 and a lot more. I would not mention their names, but we have a lot more people that I'm currently working with. And I'm sure once we put them out there, you would really see that we're doing a lot.
I can only imagine the amount of work that you guys are doing and you guys, are going to be doing in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because I mean, right now, it's like everybody just wants to listen to Afrobeats. Even, we've seen a situation whereby some songs that you cannot technically call Afrobeat are being categorized as Afrobeat. But I'm sure with the work you guys are doing and what you guys are trying to push, every other song now will have its own personal genre of music that we can say, oh yes, this song is a soul music, that song is a jazz music, and this one is just an Afrobeat, and we don't have to, mix everything together like we say, Afro fusion and all of that. David, thank you very much for talking to me about this. Let's just, leave the music thing aside and let's just try to say, oh, who is David without, all this music thing that you just explained? Let us get to know a few things, about you outside, you being into music or you being an A&R and all of that.
I'm a sports guy. I'm quite a big sports fan, very big on football and tennis. Actually, once we finish developing within management on the music side, probably in the next 8-10 years, we also plan to open a sports management agency where we can also manage some of the top sports talents in the country and even outside the country. That's like the huge plan that we plan to do. But I'm really into sports, tennis, football, basketball, cricket, baseball, and more. That's who I am.
All right. Thank you very much, David, for being on the podcast. I really, really, wish you good luck in everything you and your team you're trying to do for the Nigerian music industry. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I like having this series. This is one of the reasons why I created this series in the first place. So we can also talk about those things that go on, that goes on behind the music scene that a lot of people do not see. David, before you go, so I'm just going to ask you 2 questions just to wrap everything up. Number 1 is just once again, tell us, the major things that they need to know about the campaign. And then number 2 is if anybody wants to reach out to you or your team, how can they reach out to you and your team?
All right, thank you. What you need to know about the camp is happening in the second quarter of this year. We're going to be working with a brand, which will be announced very soon. We'll try to publicize this as much as we can on all social media platforms and even physically. We'll try to publicize as much as we can. It's going to include about 12 artists from 6 different genres for this first camp that we're doing, and about 3 producers. That's what we're going to be doing for this first camp. We'll bring you down. It's going to be in Lagos anyway. We'll bring you down work with you, improve you, and try to work as much as we can with you and your team to launch you out into the Nigerian music industry and into the Nigerian music space. And for those who want to reach out to me at any point in time, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at David Niran, Niran with 2 N's at the back, or you can reach out to me at davidniran@yahoo.com.
Thank you very much once again, David. And to the audience that you are listening to this, if you're a music artist trying to discover yourself or trying to discover your sound, do not worry. When the training camp resumes, trust me, I will definitely mention that on this podcast. With that, we have come to the end of another episode of the Chacha Let's Talk Music series on the Chacha Music Review podcast. Remember, my name is to remain Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the energy force. Till I come your way with another episode, I say keep the energy, keep it 100, and keep it positive. Peace out.
Cha-cha time, 2 time for the Cha-cha gang. Give me the Cha-cha gang. Rockin' with the best, the Cha-cha gang. Give me the Cha-cha gang. Alayela with Cha-cha gang. Give me the Cha-cha gang. Wati my body, Cha-cha gang. Give me the Cha-cha gang. Cha-cha gang. Wati my god.